Okay, so this is, we finally arrived at our inaugural annual general meeting for the Canadian Co-operative Research Network, and many of you were involved in helping to get this started, and we had lots of different nicknames for it up until now, but this is the name we've arrived at. So we want to do a quick roll call of sorts and have people be able to identify themselves. So we'll ask that you unmute yourself to give us your name and your affiliation. And if you're on the phone, hopefully you can mute yourself without giving us elevator music. We've had that a couple times. That's sort of fun. Okay, so we'll ask that you give your name and your affiliation, and then if you have used the network so far and used some of the features, if you can just identify what features you've used or your favorite if you use many of them. Okay, so I'll go through the list. So if we can start with Lisa. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Stolarski. I'm affiliated with Cooperation Works in the U.S. And how I've used the network so far, I've recommended, actually, when I was with NCBA, I recommended to a client who's doing some advanced research on cooperatives that they could get in touch with the network. And so that was the main way that I've used the network so far.
Great, thank you. And just for folks on the line, NCBA stands for?
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. National Cooperative Business Association.
Great, thanks so much. Okay, Daryl, if you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Yes, Daryl Reed. I teach at York University, and I'm also on the board for the Canadian Association for Studies in Cooperation. And I have looked at the website and have gone through profiles and things, but have not gone into all the archives and stuff yet.
Thank you, Daryl. Elizabeth Hicks. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I'm at St. Vincent University and also on the board of the Center of Excellence for Research for Reporting and Accounting for Cooperatives. And on the website, I've basically gone there mostly to look up the study that you did on what areas of so the work you did, the survey you did on that.
Okay, Elizabeth, sorry, we've got a bit of, someone's just joined us. Thanks for joining us, but we're having trouble hearing. If folks can just mute themselves by clicking the microphone button on the left of your menu. We're getting some background noise. Someone that has beeping in their room right now. If you can mute yourself, that'd be great. Thanks so much. Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth. Just the last piece that you had on the study. You said you went to find something on the site?
Well, yes, and there about the work that, the study that you did or the survey you did on what kinds of research you'd like to see, people would like to see done on cooperatives.
Great, thanks so much. Okay, moving on to Fiona.
Hi everyone, my name is Fiona Dogood and I am with, with CCA and also working on the measuring the co-op difference. We're heading up a couple of projects there. And I used to work at the Secretariat, at the Co-op Secretariat, and that's, I was the lead on this project before the Secretariat was cut. And it was helping from the government side on with Aaron and Rajan to make this happen. And so how have I used it? I guess I've done lots of recommending for it to people. I have used the archive to look up various articles. And I guess also maybe to see different kinds of events as well. It's a good hub for that.
Thank you very much, Fiona. And we'll ask Heather. You can unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Hi. We're hearing an echo on this end.
Yes, we're hearing an echo from you.
Okay, I don't know why that's happening.
Maybe if everyone else could mute themselves, that could help. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can. We're still getting an echo, but let's go forward.
Okay. Anyway, I missed the beginning, and maybe because of the echo, I should just let the two of you go ahead, everyone else go ahead, and we'll try to figure out the problem.
Okay, thanks, Heather. So Heather's with the Center for the Study of Co-ops at the University of Saskatchewan. Thank you, Heather. Okay, and is Audra there with you as well? We'll just add
Yes, she is.
Great. So Audra Kruger with the Center for the Study of Co-ops at the University of Saskatchewan as well. Thank you. Okay, and can everyone else mute themselves, please? And can we have James, if you're there, introduce yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. I'm James Hines. I'm with First Calgary Financial in Alberta. I have not used the network. I've been kind of poking around with ACCA here in Alberta, and went to a meeting in Red Deer about 3 weeks ago, and have just continued to research the cooperative network and opportunities to get more information. So that's basically why I'm here.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And Kevin. Kevin, can you unmute yourself? Okay. Kevin Morris works with Assiniboine Credit Union as a student at the University of Manitoba and is on our working group for this network. So Kevin's maybe experiencing some audio difficulties. Okay, Marcelo, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Social Economy Center, where I've just started working with Jack Warder. I've also recently, I'm a research fellow at the European Research Institute on Cooperative and Social Enterprises at the University of Trento, and also I'm on the board of the Canadian Association of Studies in Cooperation. And I am very intrigued and inspired by the vast database that's forming on the network, and I have poked around a little bit and hope to use more of the writing and other research database that's emerging, and also want to find out today more about the possibilities of the network and collaborating on projects moving forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Marcelo. Réjean.
Jean Laflamme, I'm representing CCRN, le Conseil canadien de la coopération et de la mutualité. And with Erin, I was one of the coordinator of the network, and so far I'm the vice chair on the management committee of the CCRN. And I've used the library mostly.
Great. Thank you. Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sarah Pike with the Association of Cooperative Educators. I have recommended the network to researchers and academic members that they use it and sign up to use it. I personally have used it for the newsfeed and the events.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. And Tara.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Tara Schuler, and I studied healthcare cooperatives in my master's thesis research that I did in I think 2010 is when I completed that. And I'm just interested in learning more about the Canadian Co-operative Research Network. I just sort of caught my eye in some of the CCA materials that I get, and it's just an ongoing interest of mine, and just really curious to hear some more. So thank you for inviting me and allowing me to join you today.
Thanks so much. That's great. So we've got some folks here that have been involved in the network before, and some folks who are brand new. So that's a great mix. So just to take a look at our agenda, basically what we'll be doing today, I'll spend a short amount of time just giving a bit of context and reminding us, for those of us who are already familiar, where we've come from in this network, and then we really want to be able to jump into hearing from our management committee and also giving people an opportunity if they choose to join the management committee. So we'll go over our governance structure and how that works, and then we'll talk about some of our milestones and achievements, and then move into the discussion. And that's really what we want to focus on today, is hearing from you all on the ideas that you have on how we can improve the network and have more people access the network and share this with a wider community. And then we'll talk about, we'll summarize what we're going to do moving forward, and then we'll talk about any other business. So do we have any adjustments or changes to the agenda? Okay. Do I have someone who would like to move to adopt the agenda?
Sure, I can.
Okay,
Fiona.
is that Fiona? Thank you. And do we have a seconder?
I'll second. This is
Lisa, was it? Great. And anyone object? Okay, great. We'll consider it carried. Thanks very much. Okay, so in terms of the purpose for the network, really it's quite simple. We wanted to develop an online hub for co-op researchers and an opportunity for researchers and practitioners to connect. And what I'll do now is just briefly walk us through the website for those of us who are a little bit less familiar. We'll see that we have, so if you haven't seen the website before, then this is what it looks like. And so basically on our main page, you'll see we have a really straightforward, simple menu. And what we have is our last 10 posts. So what we do is 1 to 3 times a week we post news relating to the co-op research community. And this is public, this is free, this is open. And so anyone can access this. And so we've got our top 10 posts, our most recent posts that are listed there. So you see it's everything from events to new publications, to webinars and that sort of thing. So anything can go on there. Any news that we have, we put there. And really what it's meant to do is all of these other great sites and the different research centers at universities and all the other activity, we wanted this space to be able to aggregate it and to be able to link people out to all those existing resources. And so what you'll see here is that there's an option to translate this page so that we can make it accessible to as many communities as possible. And I am already following this blog, but what you normally see right here is an opportunity to enter your email address so you can follow the blog, which means that any time that we post something new, you can be notified. And it's set up really well so that you can say, I only want to get a notification every Friday morning. And so it'll aggregate what is posted during the week, and every Friday morning you can read what's happening, or you can get it automatic. So those kinds of options exist so that you can make sure that you don't have to remember to go to the site. It will email you when there's new content. And so if we scroll down to the bottom here of this, again, the last 10 blog posts, you'll see that we've got we've got news. So this is a Google alert of different things that are happening regarding co-ops in Canada, and also research news. And so that's pretty straightforward there. So that's the main page. And again, this is the URL, but you can also just use s.coop/research, or for the French translated site, you can do s.coop/recherche. And so our about page, again, I'll take us through this pretty quickly, but just to show you, we have a couple papers here that Elizabeth mentioned she's reviewed, and so these were sort of the content from the survey that ended up producing this network. So those papers are available there. And you've also got a list of our management committee members. And of course, if you choose to join the management committee today, you will be famous by having your name on this site. And our working group members. And then any of our partners, so if folks on the line aren't yet partners and want to be partners, we'll add your logo there as well. A little bit on that. And so we've got also an events calendar. So this relates to research events. So you can see scholarship deadlines. You can see when abstracts are due for conferences. We try to post as many conferences as we hear about. So you'll see in June and July there's some more international conferences happening, and there's this option here to submit your event, or this form here. So any of our partners and anyone that has an event that's relevant to the co-op research community and practitioners interested in research, you can add that here, and then we post it to the site. So really straightforward, really user-friendly. And then we have this research tab. So most of you have heard of our research library. So just so we don't have to load it, I've got it already here. So this is a fully searchable online library of co-op research. So anything that's available digitally, we've got linked from here. Otherwise, we've got the citation for it, so you can go to a library or find the journal where that article is. So if you'll see here, we've got 1,360 publications that are attached or linked from here, and it's fully searchable. So that's the option right here. And you can see that we've got them separated into 6 collections, and that's what the original steering committee had recommended, but they're also all tagged and, again, very searchable. That's the research library, and you'll also see that there are an English and French videos that will take you through how to use the library if you want a little bit of a walkthrough. We also have our researcher profiles from this tab. And so you see, for some people, we link out to their university page where they already have their profile. And for some folks, they would have filled out this form, giving us some detail on their research interests and their bio, and then we'll post it. We'll create a page and post it. So we really encourage anyone, whether you're a researcher at an institution or a practitioner who's interested in research or participates or takes the lead on research, that we can put you on here so that people can connect with you. And especially for folks who are professors, we'd love for students to be able to find you on here if they're looking for thesis supervisors. So it's a way to promote your work as well. And then we have an option here for people to submit research ideas and priorities. So these are ideas that researchers, research teams, or students can pick up if they're looking for something to research. Okay, great. So that's the real short and sweet of the site. We also have a Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn, and other options there too. So, that was just a quick walkthrough of our site. So in terms of the history of the network, basically, these folks here were the original steering committee that really helped in the development of this online network. And so these folks, through funding from the Rural and Co-op Secretariat when it was housed at Agriculture Canada, and through work that CCA and CCRN did as the consultants on the project, we established this network. So that was based out of a survey that we did across the country over 2010 to 2012 to get feedback from folks on what were the needs and priorities for co-op research in Canada. And one of the things that the steering committee really noticed was there was a need for better dissemination and for people to have better access. So these were the folks that really helped to make that happen. And of course, there were previous iterations of these kinds of conversations, and so this is how it ended now with this kind of feedback and with that survey of over 100 people that participated in helping to inform what this could look like. So in terms of our structure and governance, we do have an open membership, meaning that we run without having to charge a membership fee. So we think that's pretty good for folks who want to become members, because we really do want to build the network and have people involved and have as much exchange as possible. So there is no fee to join. Our management committee is open to any member that would like to join it, and we have typically quarterly phone meetings, and so the management committee provides the strategic oversight for the network, meaning, thinking about how can we serve our members, how can we make the site more functional, how can we bring more people to it, and that sort of thing. And we also have a working group of folks that work to do all of the content that really gets onto the site. So when someone submits a publication or we hear about an event coming up, then we're the folks that make sure that content gets onto the site and onto Facebook. And then also CCA and CCRN through Réjean and myself are the support, and Fiona also with CCA are the staff support for this network as well, to make sure that we can organize meetings and put a bit of time in to maintain the site and all of these kinds of things. So that's how we work right now. So these are the partners, the current partners, and again, we can accept new partners at any time. And again, that's linked from the About Us page on the website as well. And then these are the folks who comprise our management committee and our working group. So I wanted to open it up at this time to the management committee. If you wanted to share about your experience on the management committee, or why it is you chose to join the management committee. Is there anyone that would like to start?
I'll start, Aaron. This is Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
I hope that wasn't me making noise there. I think it's a very important thing that we're doing here. We really need to be connected more, and so it just makes sense for me to invest the time into doing this and making those connections between us a lot more denser in a positive sense of that term.
Thank you, Daryl. Do other folks want to share?
Well, Régent Laflamme here. Erin, just want to say that Erin and I had accepted last year to sit as chair and vice chair of the management committee, but after that meeting, hopefully we'll have some new blood coming in, and especially people that are heavily involved in the research community.
Merci, Régent. We have other folks?
Hi, this is Sarah Pike. Just to echo what Daryl had said about staying together, connected, and making a co-op research community a little bit more dynamic, and also from ACE's perspective, really to invite the rest of our membership, which includes all of North America, so the folks in the United States and the Caribbean, to say, you can still use this, even though it's the Canadian network. It's really a great resource for everyone to be involved in and to stay connected and learn about what others are doing.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? Okay, that's great. So that's a little bit from our management committee in terms of what's been the value for them. And so we try not to be too demanding of this committee. We've got a lot of wisdom on the calls when we have those calls, and kind of sort out how it is that we can best address any of our challenges. And so far they've been very few and far between, but more it's been thinking about how we can expand our network and how we can improve on what we do. And so it's been exciting to see the connections that have been made because of the folks on the management committee and the folks that have joined the network. So, and I wanted to take this opportunity to say a special thanks also to Kevin Morris, who is our most active working group member, who has been really the steward of the library since we established the site, and has been adding all of the new publications. So I really want to acknowledge that's an ongoing task, that it requires getting emails from me every other day and dealing with them. So we really appreciate that. So at this time, we wanted to give folks an opportunity, if you're interested to join the management committee or you have questions about what that means. We are accepting new folks onto the management committee and also the working group, which is a group of volunteers who, like I said, do the contents of the site. And also that's really on a voluntary basis. So that's if you say I have 1 hour every 2 weeks, then we can work with that and that sort of thing. And then we are looking for a chair, vice chair, and secretary also. This is an opportunity to have a shuffle on those positions. So is there anyone on the call today who's interested and would like to be part of the management committee or the working group or get more information?
Erin, this is Fiona. Is this an opportunity for current management committee members to express their interest to stay on?
Sure. That's great. I mean, according to our management committee call earlier this week, it sounded like most folks would be interested, but absolutely. Let's build some momentum. Go ahead. So are you suggesting you will? All right.
Continuing to be a part of the management committee.
Thank you, Fiona. Anyone else?
This is Sarah. I'd like to say
Yes, I will stay.
Okay, Réjean, Sarah, great.
This is Lisa. I'll be staying on the committee too.
Great, thanks, Lisa.
This is Daryl. I'll stay on.
Great, thanks, Daryl.
Hi, this is Audra and Heather, and we're both able and willing to stay on.
Great, thank you to you both. And any of our new folks here on the line interested or have questions about what it would mean?
Hi there, this is Tara.
Hi, Tara, go ahead.
And I just sent a text message, but yeah, I'd be interested in finding out a bit more about the working group. I'm not a member of the network yet, so I'd need to sort of find out about how I join and what might be involved there. But sure, I'd be interested in hearing some more. Maybe we can have a chat offline or whatever you recommend for that.
Great, Tara, thank you so much. We'll follow up with you. That is excellent.
This is James at First Calgary. I watched Tara post hers just while I was typing basically almost a verbatim response. So same for me. I'd like some more information on both.
Great. So those are questions that we can follow up with you online after, and certainly invite you to the next management committee call. And Tara, would be great to have you involved, or either of you involved in the working group as well. So that's wonderful. Thank you. And again, it's great to get new people involved, and becoming a member is pretty darn easy. It really just involves saying it, and then we make sure you have all the information that you need. So really pleased to have that. Any other questions or comments today? Okay, excellent. And if you know of folks who haven't been able to join us today but may be interested, we'll ask that you send information around. So when we send out notes from this meeting and a link to the recording of this meeting, then we'll also make sure that you have the information on the management committee and the working group as well. Thanks, everyone. So if we move on to our milestones, this is sort of just the quick and dirty, but we did launch in May of last year officially. And since then, we've had 82 posts, which means these are news pieces like I showed you on the main page of the website. So there's 82 updates we've been able to share with our members and the people who follow our site. So we think that it's been a pretty consistent source of information over the last year. So we've had almost 7,000 views. So at this point, it's pretty consistent that we've had 600 or 700 each month. So we've had a lot of people using the site and coming to us for information. We've got 32 people who have followed the blog, meaning that they get updates by email when we post something. We've got 28 people who have liked us on Facebook. And so far, we've got 14 researcher profiles that have been created on the site or linked to the site. And we also had some strategic research meetings. So Daryl's on the line today, and Daryl really took the lead on looking at how we could develop a bit of a protocol for being strategic about the research that we do on co-ops. And so on March 14th, we had a meeting focused on domestic co-op research, so looking at co-op research in Canada, and then we had a meeting on the 15th, actually face-to-face in Ottawa, that brought folks together to look at co-ops and international development research. And what was really neat about these strategic meetings, it's really built on the survey data that we collected over the last couple of years, and it's kind of looking at how we can be more practical. So we have these priorities, we've had these discussions, now how do we put that into action? So are there research grants that we should be accessing? Are there research teams we should be putting together? And so we as a network have been wanting, we've been active and we've been wanting to support these kinds of initiatives. So we're grateful to have partnered in a sense with Canadian Association for Studies in Cooperation, and Daryl Reed is the president of that. He's also on our management committee too, but in seeing that through. So Daryl, did you want to give any comments on
that? Just that we're excited about the possibilities moving forward. We've come up with some tentative areas that we want to think about developing some proposals. and we will try and organize some of those discussions around the CASC meeting in Victoria.
Great. Thank you, Daryl.
I should just say, Erin, that we're doing two different fronts. One is more for domestic and northern, shall we say, and the other is more focused around international development. And in that regard, we've also been trying to reach out to other associations like development studies and also food studies.
That's great. Thank you, Daryl. Any questions on this from anyone? So what will happen is sometime this month there'll be a report that comes out regarding the international development meeting, because like I said, that was a face-to-face meeting and it was a full-day meeting, so it was a bit of a mini conference of sorts. So we'll be putting out a report on that. We'll also be sharing the minutes from the meetings on the domestic research discussions as well, so that if folks want to get involved, then there's a mechanism for that. And just a couple of highlights is that there has been a suggestion to do a bit of a survey or create some type of a form so that people can submit their research activities. So it's a way for us to sort of collect our profiles for our site, but also for us to get a bit of an exhaustive list of what everyone's researching and what their expertise is, so that when we do have a research idea that comes forward, we can look at this grid of sorts to find out who has the expertise and who might contribute towards the project. So it's something we've been wanting to undertake for a while. It's a bit of a mapping of the co-op researchers in Canada and their skills, interests, and expertise. So that's one thing that may come out of this. You'll be hearing more about that later on this spring. And another thing that came out of it is a few people who already have ideas for putting some teams together and maybe putting proposals together for funding applications. So thank you again to Daryl for that, and for all of you who have participated in helping to shape that. And as we move that whole agenda forward, we'll also have an opportunity for people who are practitioners or researchers to contribute towards research priorities and to give their ideas. So this is where we get to move into the discussion. So we wanted to have 3 brief discussions today and give people an idea to brainstorm. And so the first one is looking at member engagement. So in thinking about the services and the features that we already offer, how do we best serve our existing members and how do we direct them back to the website? So if we've only got 30-odd people who are following us, then that means that there's a number of people out there that they're making a point to come to the site every now and then, but how do we remind people and get them back to the site to stay engaged? So I'll open that up if folks would like to unmute themselves if they have ideas.
Just one more time, do you want us to think about how we can get more traffic to the website and more people involved?
Sure, yeah, and also how to serve our existing members. So if there's any features that we feel like we're missing, or if there's anything additional that we could do to serve our membership and our target membership, so the research community and practitioners as well.
I guess one idea that has come up, and I definitely know that this was some of the very, very early nuggets of ideas at the Secretariat when we first put some money towards this, was around helping the co-op research community become more strategic around how to apply for funding. Funders are only going to look for more strategy behind their proposals. And so it might be an idea, is there a way or a function or something that we could do as the CCRN to help foster that, and maybe around a particular funding wallet or pot of money, maybe this would be a timeline. Okay, we know that, as example, SHRC funding goes on October 1st or whatever, and we move it back 6 months, a year, I don't know, and start to put a call out for people to come together in a quite meaningful way, especially with our international partners, with our community partners and with the more academic researchers. I think that might be a feature for us to offer or see where interest lies.
Thank you, Fiona. Daryl, that's part of the vision with the strategic meetings? Do you want to maybe tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, that is sort of the vision. We do, one of the things we want to have up regularly on the website is the cycle of funding. And for us in Canada, mostly there's a tri-council funding, which would be the medical and the natural sciences and the social sciences and humanities. Most of us would probably get more of our funding from the social sciences and humanities. But then there's funds through other government programs such as CETA, CETA and IDRC. Then there are other foundations which...
Sorry, Daryl, could you just say those out for us?
IDRC, International Development Research Council, and CETA, the Canadian International Development Association, right? And they have different types of programs, and some of those might make more sense for a practitioner organization to be the lead on, and some make more sense for an academic partner to be the lead on. But the strength that we have is a lot of these programs, I think as someone was saying earlier, are now becoming very pragmatic in what they're looking for, and they like to see private sector partners on grants. And so this puts us in very, very good stead to do this. So we need to help our practitioner partners understand that they can also initiate things if they want research done, and we have to develop this forum that allows that to happen. And part of that will work through the network. And so if we can have people see the basic timelines for funding, and they're relatively regular for the government agencies, but some are also with open deadlines, so you can submit at any time. And if we can also then have profiles up so people can see who is researching what, they can target their proposals, and as well through the regular programming, the strategic program process, we will do regular evaluations of priority areas, right? And those would be for bigger grants specifically. But for the smaller grants, we also want to facilitate those if individual researchers or small groups and individual co-ops or smaller groups have specific needs that they want to do. So that's why the website and things associated with it are very important. Now we have to work on the culture.
That's great. Thank you very much, Daryl. That's a great idea, Fiona, in terms of us making sure that we don't lose that, and we make sure to carry the torch on that, because it is a real opportunity as we develop this network. Do we have other ideas about member engagement? I'm wondering for folks on the line, maybe Tara or James, who haven't used the site as much, you know, are there, in terms of the features that we mentioned, do you see any gaps, or were you hoping the site could deliver on something that you didn't see addressed?
This is James. At First Calgary, I haven't dove into the site enough to really comment. I promise I will. I guess you know, being in the credit union space and knowing that Kevin is in the credit union space and there's others that probably are, if there's any, what's the word I'm looking for? Is there any, you know, ties to the credit union movement, with cooperative movement on the site? I know that's not the most articulate response, but that's the best I can do.
Well, that's great. Thank you. So is your question, are we linking out to the different co-ops or associations, or making an explicit link to the sector? How do you see that happening?
I don't know. I guess it's more of a comment, or maybe it is a question and a comment. Is how much activity, how much involvement is coming from the credit unions with the research network?
Yeah, so I guess to answer that right now, in terms of our members, we've got Credit Union Central of Canada as a member, and Jean-Marc Pigeon at one point was an active member of our management committee as well. And like you mentioned, Kevin, but he's more here in his role as a student. So I'd say it has been mainly, at this point, I guess it's been mainly academic institutions and then some co-op associations and federations. And
yeah, I guess my comment would be I see opportunity there, which maybe people like me carry the flag, right?
Great, that would be wonderful.
If I could just comment on that as well, Erin.
Go ahead.
James, we haven't published our program for the Victoria Conference yet, but when we do, you'll see that there's a number of people working on credit unions, several of them especially in the south, but also in the north. And so we would really like to engage the credit unions more with the type of research that they think they need. So you're exactly right. People like you are the types of links we need, right? So you people in the sector actually have a much better feeling for the nature of the things you need researched, especially how those lead into policy issues, right? So exactly. If you can help us understand a little bit better than that, and for our part, if we can get those researcher profiles up and we can see those people who are interested in working on credit unions, I think that would work very well.
Great suggestion, Daryl. Thanks. Okay, wonderful. Any further comments on this discussion piece? So what I'm hearing is there's an opportunity to engage the sector a bit more, maybe credit unions specifically. There's an opportunity for us to, through having more research profiles up there, that we can make these connections a little bit more explicitly, and that we want to make sure that we focus on creating research teams and making sure that people are aware of funding and being strategic about how we can make co-op research teams to come together in order to meet some of these funding deadlines that there are, so that we can build on co-op research. So that's great. So in terms of our next discussion that we were hoping to have, we want to look at promotions. So this is asking the question, how do we bring new people to the site? And also a secondary question about how we engage students. So just to give you a bit of background, we're working right now actually with the Canadian Rural Research Network, which is actually a similar online platform but focused on rural research. Some of that overlaps with co-ops, of course. And so we are putting together we have a one-pager that we're sending out to the different graduate research programs that are related to our two cooperatives in some sense, and so we're working with the Rural Research Network to do that in collaboration, because we're building a database right now of people that we want to make sure we can send it to, that will then forward it to their students. And we also want to access undergrads at this point too, so they can access the the list of researchers, and they can also use the library and that sort of thing. But in thinking more broadly, our discussion today on promotions is really looking at how we can bring new people to the site. So do we have folks who want to kick off that discussion? So if we go back to what you said, James, about when you said, well, maybe that's you that could be a champion for it. that's one thing that we were hoping, is that folks who are part of the network, who are members of the network, could all link the site from their institutional website, so that folks could link out from there, and also through social media and all of that as well. Or if you have newsletters or publications, or you have a resource section on your website, that folks could link out to this as well, so that people can clearly see that there's a research library and a few functions of the site. Any ideas on that? Go ahead.
I have an idea. I don't know if it's along that exact same line, but there are many cooperative conferences in North America, and perhaps we could have, a version of this very presentation, that explains what the website is, and then have different people who are going to those conferences volunteer to give a workshop, a breakout session on the co-op network at the conferences, and maybe even do a table of the conferences, so that we can promote CCRN to various sectors and constituencies.
Great. So Lisa, your suggestion is that we have sort of an off-the-shelf presentation that folks can present at these conferences, get more people involved.
Yeah. We could even modify what we have here, and then just basically have a presentation and discussion about, we could ask some provocative questions like, what kind of research is your sector interested in? What kind of collaborations is your sector interested in? Where are the gaps that Canadian cooperative researchers can fill, for your sector? And so we could have, that same discussion at 6 different conferences in 2013. And then, those people then will have the opportunity to join the network. They'll have the opportunity to see what's going on, to connect with each other, to connect with us, and ultimately to move forward on some very necessary research questions.
That's a great idea. Any feedback or comments in addition to that? That's excellent.
David Doughton here, and I would suggest that you might want to, if you want to reach lifelong learners as well as current full-time students, it would be possible to do a presentation to the Co-op Zone Developers Training Program as part of one of the webinars that goes on with the students. And that way you would hit a lot of people who are involved in the world of co-ops in various ways, and who could act as a mechanism to spread the word.
Thanks, David. That's an excellent idea.
I just want to, in addition to Co-op Zone, we could also perhaps do a presentation for Association of Cooperative Educators and Cooperation Works.
Great.
Cooperation Works is like the Co-op Zone only in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, wonderful. And what you'll see on my screen now is a postcard that was created. So we have 1,000 copies of this postcard, and the reverse is in French as well. And it's something that we can take to these conferences as well. So if we're not able to get a workshop on this, we can at least distribute this to folks. So if anybody is going to conferences and would like to carry some of these around with them, then just let me know. I guess I should say that this is Erin Hancock here. I didn't actually end up introducing myself at the beginning, but I'm with the Canadian Co-operative Association. So you can let me know by email, and we can send them to you. Okay, great.
Sorry, Elizabeth here. I just was wondering if maybe we could encourage some other groups that are involved with co-ops to link to our website. Maybe we already do that. I don't know. To this website. So, for example, the association that I'm here for today, they could just have an automatic link to our website like that.
Great. That would be great. So having other websites linked to this site. That's great. So there's nothing further on promotions. These are all excellent ideas, and I think things that the management committee can kind of think think about in terms of logistics and how we carry this out. We'll move on to the next discussion, which is on our targets for 2013. And so what you'll see here on your screen, these are the targets that the Management Committee set back at the January Management Committee meeting in terms of saying, okay, what's realistic and what excites us about what we can do with this site this year. And so we said that we'd like to have 40 profiles, researcher profiles on the site. We wanted to keep consistent with having 1 to 3 news posts per week on the site. We wanted to hold our first AGM, and you're all part of that right now. We want to increase the promotion and use of the site and make sure that all of our partners, like you suggest, Elizabeth, that they all link to the CCRN. And that's a great way because, as we all know, that's really our calling card. And if all of the members are linking to this, that's a great way to weave people in. So do we have other suggestions on other targets we might want to set, or if you think that we're being too reasonable with these targets and we should increase them, or any other additional ideas that you have in terms of what we can achieve with this network this year?
Well, this is Lisa, and I would say that we could perhaps just, if we were going to follow through with the suggestion that I made, then we could set a target for how many conferences, how many sector conferences or development conferences we would like to reach out to this year. And I don't know what that number would be, but it would be another benchmark.
That's excellent. You can absolutely add that to the list.
This is Fiona. I wonder if there's some way that we could audiences, kind of capture audiences there, not just that we have that we sent out 1,000 postcards, which is great, because as soon as we've got those 1,000 postcards gone, that means we have to order more, and 1,000 postcards are floating around somewhere. But I wonder if we can find some way that, I guess my target audience would be students, and how could we encourage students to use the site? Because I know that when I was a student, if this site had existed, wow, wouldn't my studies have been way, way easier. So if there's some way that we could really challenge ourselves to make sure that students are finding out about this.
Great.
And using it.
Great. Thank you, Fiona. Those are great. Those are 2 additional metrics that we can take back to the management committee and figure out how we can do it. Other ideas?
Perhaps I could just say in regard to that, Erin, that maybe in Victoria we should have things available for people to encourage them to do these things, especially faculty members, so that when they're preparing their syllabi in June, they can just put links on this to their syllabi and things.
Oh, great idea.
Great idea. I wonder if we need some sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, a banner or some acknowledgement at functions like CAF. Just again tossing it out there. Something that was really generic that could be used in many, many places, so not with any dates or anything like that. It's an idea.
So a banner that we could put at a table that had resources and instructions.
Yeah, like a little more visual presence.
Great. Any other ideas on this?
Erin, perhaps if we're making up a banner for CASC, we could make up one sort of a partner banner for CCRN.
Great. Great. Okay, excellent. Any additional ideas? Okay, great. That's excellent. So now what we can do is go back to the management committee with these additional ideas that you've given us through these 3 discussions and figure out how we want to operationalize them and put them into action. So in terms of summarizing where it is we're going, we definitely are making an effort to have these strategic research meetings and moving that forward into these research teams and applying for funding and that type of thing, and continuing these discussions about research priorities. We're absolutely reaching out to students and focusing some of our promotions over the next year on them. Certainly for the fall semester, we want to make sure that everyone's got information. And definitely we want to be able to integrate some of the ideas that came up today and make sure that you as partners and friends of the network, that you're able to promote the network and link people back to it. So we do have, we do have digital flyers that people can forward to their networks. If people are doing newsletters and things like that, then we definitely want to be able to help you in promoting the network and having more people access it. It is it's something that it doesn't take a huge amount of effort to maintain now that we've built it, and it's easy to have more people use it. So it's easy to expand. It's very scalable. And in terms of individuals moving forward, we definitely invite people to submit their profiles and to sign up for the news feed. So if you go to, again, s.coop/research, you can sign up for the news feed and get the news as it comes in. And also to remember that you can submit your news and your events and your publications so that we can share that with the wider community. So we really want it to be sort of an input and output. So you can feed into the network, and that's what helps it to grow and helps the content to stay fresh, but also you can gain from the network by learning what's going on and seeing all the other content that other people are submitting. So now it's an opportunity, if there's any closing remarks or any ideas or any discussions that didn't come up yet today, we can offer that now.
Hi, this is Lisa again. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm still interested in the idea of collaborating in the future on getting some older materials, archival materials, and in older books that are maybe no longer proprietary, because they're so old that their copyrights have expired. I think that it would be great if we could aggregate those as well as current research.
Great. Anyone on the call today interested in that? I know you had connected with Heather at the center over that before too.
Yes. Yeah. When I was at NCBA, I had brought that up, and then NCBA kind of was not taking an interest in it. So, but now that I don't know with NCBA anymore, I can pursue it all I like. So. I'm still interested in doing that, Heather, if you're still interested in talking with me about it. And they have fantastic materials in Madison, Wisconsin. I saw their library recently, and they just have a huge wealth of wonderful information and lots of old books that need some tender, loving care. So
I would add to that we at the Center for the Study of Cooperatives at the University of Saskatchewan have probably even a larger collection of materials of old books, a lot of them out of print, about our co-op history, not just throughout Western Canada, but through Canada and the rest of the world. So we have a very richly resourced library right here.
Right. I think that even to just have those books listed, so that we could say, here's the collection, the itemized collection for University of Saskatchewan. Here's the itemized collection of what's available in Madison, so that people can, if they're trying to do research, then they can. If the book isn't online, they can at least see that, oh wow, I can access that if I can, get to Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm. We have a full online catalog, searchable.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
oh
author, subject. Is it all available on through our website?
So that's a really good point. Then maybe we can, so that we don't have the sort of lag in not, in housing our own list, we can link directly to that, so that as you update it, it's also updated from the link, right? So we can definitely make sure that that's made more explicit from the site, and we can even do a news post on it so people are reminded. And And Lisa, if you wanted to follow up with the University of Wisconsin, find out if something similar exists there, that would be great.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that it doesn't exist there.
Oh,
and I don't know where else in the world it does exist.
To my knowledge, our library that's fully cataloged is the only collection in North America that's specifically dedicated to cooperative materials.
I believe it. I believe. I mean, because the center. I mean, like I had said before, you know, there are little pockets here and there. I think there are about 1,500 books at in Madison. This is at the University of Wisconsin Center for Cooperatives.
Right.
But they're not online and searchable the way that you described.
Right. And they used to have a larger collection, and then something happened, and I know a lot of it disappeared.
Yeah.
Which I know some people involved in co-op research in Madison didn't learn about it till after the fact, and it was too late to rescue some of the materials.
Yeah.
So maybe we can make sure that gets back to the working group or the management committee to see if there's something we can do. Certainly we can link to the U of S, and we can see if there's an opportunity to connect with the University of Wisconsin and figure out if there's a way to promote there. Because it could just mean, you know, if they had access to have an intern or something like that to be able to catalog that. We did the same in developing this network and developing this library. We had an intern that put that all into a database and put it online for us. So
we're also in the process of, well, we've started digitizing our historical co-op photograph collection.
That's so cool.
And making that available online. And we've hired a student who will be doing that exclusively all summer. And if she gets through the photograph collection, we have a large backlog of books and old newspapers and journals that all relate to co-ops that are very fragile, and we're hoping to get some of those started as well, being digitized.
Wow.
And this is Audra here, and perhaps Lou's already said this quite early on in the process, but you know, while we're talking about the Center for the Study of Cooperatives in our library and how we move forward, I think it's really important to think about how we can utilize the existing resources and try to avoid duplication of services and offerings, and maybe resource stuff. I mean, it's maybe too far along in the process right now, but I think as we move forward, I think it's really important that we work cooperatively and not distribute resources and thin things out, and really utilize things and promote the things that are already going on.
I completely agree. You know, to have something actually unbound and copied and then rebound is fairly expensive, you know, for each book. So anything that's already online, we would want to simply link to it, and then let people know that they can, you know, they can access it if they actually need a hard copy in a more than one location.
Okay, thank you for this discussion. So is there any other business that folks wanted to discuss today while we're together? Okay, great. Let's do a quick checkout. So I'll read through the names, and if you just want to, if you have anything brief you want to say to check out, then that's great, or anything about today's meeting. So starting with Lisa.
Oh, I think I've said everything. Thank you. I think this was a fantastic call, and I really appreciate you guys putting it together.
Thanks, Lisa. Daryl.
I think it's been very good. We just need to get a few people caught up to speed who weren't on the line today, but otherwise it was great.
Thanks, Daryl. David. Dutton.
Sorry I was late, and interesting, much appreciated. Timing is hard during working hours.
Thanks, David. Elizabeth.
Yes, it was. I'm glad you have been a part of it. I'll certainly be becoming a member and be looking at more information about maybe getting a more active role, although right now we may not have the time. But anyway, looking forward to becoming more involved, and thank you for this.
Thank you. Fiona.
Great to hear some new voices on the line and some folks who have been our champions all along. I would also like to send out a special thank you to Erin, who is our numero uno champion, and for organizing us and making this all happen.
Thank you, Fiona. Heather.
Oh, Heather and Audra here. I'll time out for both of us. Thanks so much, and looking forward to seeing some of you at CASC and continuing the conversation.
Thanks so much. James.
I enjoyed the experience and the opportunity, and intend fully to stay engaged and hopefully more active than I've been.
Thanks, James. We welcome that. Kevin.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Marcelo.
Well, thanks so much. It's been very informative, and I look forward to participating in whatever way I can in the coming months.
Great.
So thank you. Thanks, Erin, for putting it together. Thanks.
Thanks, Marcelo. Réjean.
Well, thank you, like Fiona said, to you, Erin, for organizing the meeting. And unfortunately, I will not be able to be at CASC in Victoria, as I have a board meeting of cooperatives at the same time in Moncton. So I wish I could be there, but it won't be possible. So I hope you can have a good discussion at that time.
Thanks, Réjean. We'll miss you. Sarah.
Yeah, thanks for leading a great meeting. I thought there were some really great discussions that went on, and I look forward to helping the network grow.
Thanks so much. Did I miss anyone? Okay, great. So everyone, what you can expect is that we'll make sure to send you some notes and highlights from this meeting, and I believe that we'll have a recording of the meeting available as well. So if you want to share it with colleagues and friends, you can do so, and we'll make sure that notes from this meeting also make it onto the site so that other people can join in. So thanks everyone for participating, and we'll look forward to connecting with you again shortly.
Thanks, Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
Thank you, Erin.
See you, Erin.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.